Just as we count down the season with fall moving towards winter, the time is slipping by as we move closer to racing's championship day, the Breeders' Cup. Today, we've come to the historic Keeneland Racecourse in Lexington, Kentucky for the Spinster Stakes, one of the final major races for fillies and mares headed towards the Cup, and a race that has showcased 20 divisional champions in its 38 runnings. This is the heart of the thoroughbred breeding industry, the source for the sons and daughters headed towards the Breeders' Cup that is now less than 3 weeks and just 75 miles to the west at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. Racing to the Breeders' Cup, presented by Thrifty Car Rental. Walk into a spectacular fall afternoon at Keeneland Racecourse, just 6 miles outside Lexington, Kentucky. Today, the 7th of their 16-day fall race meeting. And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. This is the final stop on our Racing to the Breeders' Cup Series 9 telecasts since August that have showcased some of the top thoroughbreds in every division heading towards racing's $10 million championship day. You've seen 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, older handicap horses, horses on the turf. And today, fillies and mares in the Grade 1 Spinster, a race that has had quite an impact on the first 10 runnings of the Breeders' Cup Distaff. In 1994, the Spinster sets up as a real east-west confrontation. From California comes Phone Chatter. Last year, as a 2-year-old, all she did was win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies and was named the champion 2-year-old filly. She's won almost $800,000. Her rival from the east is Dispute. Dispute knows how to beat champions. Here seen beating Eliza in the 1993 Kentucky Oaks when Eliza was the juvenile filly title holder of the year before. Bonus race coverage as well this afternoon, again with Breeders' Cup implications. We'll show you some of the running of the Meadowlands Cup Friday night in New Jersey. And here yesterday at Keeneland, the Fayette Stakes. The weather, it just couldn't be better. What a beautiful afternoon for racing here. Temperature in the 70s, blue skies overhead, and a fast racetrack this afternoon at Keeneland. We're glad you've joined us as we move closer to Breeders' Cup 11, November 11th, here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Racing to the Breeders' Cup. Today's live coverage of the Spinster Stakes from Keeneland is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. By Hollywood Park, where great times are a sure bet. Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. And by Auto Tote, where the action is. Shot of the paddock here at Keeneland as we welcome you back. They've been racing here since 1936. This again a great case for why less is really more when you have only 3 weekends of racing in the fall where they all turn out more than 15,000 people here on a beautiful afternoon. Let's check our conditions of racing now as Keeneland presents the 39th Spinster Stakes. It's Grade 1. The gross purse is now $329,700. The winners share more than $204,000. Fillies and mares will go 9 furlongs. That's a mile and an eighth. The 3-year-olds carry 119 pounds. The older fillies and mares, 123. Let's go behind the stands, back to that paddock area now. Ready to introduce the field. Let's join my colleagues, Dave Johnson and Tom Durkin.
Well, the filly and mare division is extremely powerful this year, and because of that, the Breeders' Cup Distaff figures to be the strongest field of the card, top to bottom, on Breeders' Cup Day.
The way I got to figure it's the best race on the card. It will feature 2 champions, Hollywood Wildcat and Phone Chatter, if she accords herself well today. It will also feature 2 would-be champions in Heavenly Prize and Sky Beauty. It'll have at least 6 Grade 1 stakes winners in it, and it's not only going to determine the filly or mare champion, also the 3-year-old filly champ. And you know, Tom, the Breeders' Cup Distaff has always been won by either the first or the second choice. The largest payoff in the history of the Breeders' Cup Distaff, $7.80. Although we have had some long shots win the Spinster. But let's take a look at the field today and find out who's here. We start with the 4-to-1 shot Miss Dominique, trained by Alex Hassinger, who won this race with Fauda a couple of years ago. The 9-to-5 favorite is the 2-horse Dispute with Pat Day. Penny Hill Park starts at 6. Shane Sellers, the rider. Passing Vice, trained by the hard-working Harvey Vanier, is at 20-to-1. Let's Be Alert, claimed earlier this year for $40,000, is at 12. Phone Chatter, second choice, 2-to-1 with new jockey Corey Nakatani.
Euclides Vergara, a regular at Detroit Racecourse, is the pilot of Joyous Melody, longest price at 30, and Twice the Vice at 12-1 will be ridden by Aaron Grider, who had a nasty spill yesterday, but who is back in the irons today.
Although she's not in the race this afternoon, the Spinster is going to tell us a lot about Sky Beauty. Let's take a look at the Ruffian Handicap. Sky Beauty on the lead, and she will defeat Dispute by a length and a quarter. Now, Dispute was carrying 13 pounds less that day. Way I got it figured, Dispute is a couple lengths slower than Sky Beauty. So, if Dispute wins this afternoon, that underlines Sky Beauty's status as the probable favorite. Now, if Phone Chatter wins this afternoon, extra points for the Californians. Remember what happened to Sky Beauty last year when she took on the Californians? She was soundly defeated.
Finishing 5th. Now, on the human side, Dispute is trained by Shug McGahee, who won the Spinster 11 years ago with Try Something New. And his jockey that afternoon was none other than Pat Day, who rides Dispute today. Day also took this race with Wilderness Song 3 years ago. So, horses and jockeys of the very top caliber, Chris.
Well, joining me now, Dave, is the president of the Breeders' Cup, Mr. Ted Bassett. Seems to be the one to ask. I need a ticket. Can I get a ticket for November 5th?
Well, we're delighted at the advance sale of the Breeders' Cup that we've sold out practically all the reserve seats and the box seats. But there'll be about 10,000 general admission seats put on sale on the day of the event. So there's still room for others to come.
As the Breeders' Cup starts its second decade, what are some of the new things coming up?
Well, we're absolutely delighted at the new public interest in the National Pick 7 of the Breeders' Cup. It's a new $1 wager, and there's been a great deal of media and public interest in that regard that we think is going to generate a wonderful pool over $5 million. Last year, the winner of it won over $1.5 million. So I think that's going to add a new realm of interest to it.
I'm sure everyone in the Breeders' Cup committee would take a day like today at Keeneland, move it to Churchill Downs for November 5th.
Well, this is a marvelous day here. We've got about over 15,000, temperature of about 75 degrees. Wouldn't that be wonderful at Churchill? We'd set a real record there.
How about great Breeders' Cup 11. Great to be here at Keeneland in the fall. And I know Ted Bassett and Keeneland support the National Best 7 of the Thoroughbred Racing Associations. Let's take a look at the bet for yesterday. There you see they handled more than 203,000, and we had 7 winning tickets for those numbers, returning more than $13,000 on a 50-cent combination. That's the National Best 7. It's racing's national bet. We'll be right back to Keeneland. Racing to the Breeders' Cup welcomes you back to Keeneland. Today's coverage of the Spinster Stakes. Keeneland, of course, really the home for the breeders, the home of the most famous horse sales in the world, and some great racing as well. You know, the Spinster Stakes, of course, puts the focus on the fillies and mares, but there's no question who the most famous resident in the Keeneland barn is this week. That is Holy Bull. That's right, the odds-on favorite to be Horse of the Year, the 3-year-old Gray Colt, finishing his campaign, winding down to Keeneland before shipping to Florida. Holy Bull this year raced 10 times at 6 different tracks, winning 8 races, including 5 Grade 1s, earned over $2 million. And his owner-trainer, Jimmy Kroll, has just been named the Owner of the Month for September in Thoroughbred Racing by the Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association. We'll have a special profile coming up on him, presented by Gainsborough Farm in the Racehorse Digest. In our next Racehorse Digest edition, join us Tuesday at 3:30 to recap all the racing. But hold on, you don't have to wait until Tuesday at 3:30. We have some recap action for you right now from this weekend. Again, let's go back to Dave and Tom.
3 weeks before the Breeders' Cup, and this weekend an opportunity for a final prep before the big day. And Dave, there was action, oh plenty.
And Tom, at the Meadowlands on Friday night, 11 of them went to the post in the 1 1/8 Grade 1 Meadowlands Cup. And let's take a look at the finish of the race. It was a dandy of a contest. The veteran Northern Trend on the inside had the lead as they raced down the backstretch. It was Contract Court in the black and white colors between horses. And on the outside, the high weight, the favorite, Taking Risks, a reformed claimer, took the lead briefly. But then Bruce's Mill on the far outside, a question mark from Canada, had something to say about the outcome. Patton slips through on the inside, but the eventual winner is still coming, gobbling up ground with every stride. In the purple colors, it's Conveyor with Mike Smith, who will eventually make it to the wire in front by a nose. And out of the clouds, here comes number 11, Personal Merit, in the yellow and gray colors, who will finish second. A photo finish, and Conveyor wins the Meadowlands Cup. Personal Merit was second. Bruce's Mill finished third. A big exacta and an even bigger trifecta. The trifecta paid $17,551. And the older horses were in action here, also looking for a trip to the Breeders' Cup.
Few states west of the Big M, here in Fayette County. Yesterday, it was the 9-furlong Fayette Stakes here at Keeneland Racecourse. Let's take a look at it. Sunny Sunrise in front throughout, and Key Contender second throughout in one of the less suspenseful races you'll ever see. That's the way they ran all the way around the racetrack. But also importantly, Sea Hero is in behind them, and so is Walenda. Sea Hero, of course, the winner of the Kentucky Derby. Walenda, a winner of the Super Derby. They were hoping to show some form yesterday that might advance them into the Breeders' Cup, but it's a winnowing in and winnowing out process. Sea Hero and Walenda have been winnowed out of the Breeders' Cup. Sunny Sunrise may go, and there you see the Mutuals with Powerful Punch finishing third. Extra points there for jockey Jeff Carl, who nursed Sunny Sunrise on the lead and outwitted them all yesterday.
And extra points for jockey Gary Stevens out on the West Coast. Bertrando, who finished second in the $3 million mile and a quarter Breeders' Cup Classic last year, put himself right back into the picture with an incredible performance in the Goodwood. He had the lead, lost it, and then Bertrando, the front runner, came on again to win. Great ride by Stevens.
And yesterday, Pat Day really didn't have too much to do when he was riding Paradise Creek. Bertrando was kind of slow beginning all year, and then he finally is getting up to form. Paradise Creek, a paradigm of good form and consistency all year, and an embarrassingly easy victory yesterday in the Washington, D.C. International. He is coming up to the Breeders' Cup in top form, and Bertrando's rounding as well.
While the fans are awaiting in the paddock the arrival of our fillies and mares for the 39th running of the Spinster Stakes, and we're waiting along with them. More questions to be answered as we head towards Breeders' Cup 11. Now the colors of fall at one of the adjoining farms here in Fayette County near Keeneland Racetrack. And fall, of course, not only means some great championship thoroughbred racing, but also college football. An unusual Sunday night game tonight for you as the rough, tough Texas Longhorns take on Rice tonight. That's 12th ranked Texas in action tonight, live 8 o'clock here on ESPN. Well, today's Spinster means the return of a Breeders' Cup champion. Let's meet her. Her name is Phone Chatter. The daughter of Phone Trick was bred right here in Kentucky, but has spent her entire racing career in California. And what a career. In 8 starts, she has been first or second 7 times. Her crowning moment coming at Santa Anita in last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She closes on the outside to just catch Sardula at the wire, winning the $1 million race by a head. But injury and surgery kept her away from the races until late August at Del Mar. Her trainer, Dick Mandela, gives us an update.
She's doing well. She came back without any problems in her training on the road back. As you all know, she cracked a cannon bone in her race last year, winning the Breeders' Cup. And we put screws in it, took them out, gave her time off, and it healed well. Her first race back at Del Mar sprinting, she was way back, closed good, and won the race and ran real good.
In her second start back, she was beaten less than a length by another Spinster starter today, Miss Dominique. But the Eclipse champion had some excuses.
She got what they usually get the first time in comeback jitters. She got shook pretty good in the paddock and was pretty uptight going to the gate. And I just have to say things didn't go well for her that day. She didn't have her best day. And second beating a half a length to a nice filly, Miss Dominique. Wasn't the end of the world to me, and I can see room to still improve.
And Mandela is looking for that improvement here in the Spinster.
Well, we've got to test ourselves one more time before I'm ready to put her in the Breeders' Cup. We've gotten our 2 races, and I said after her second that there's plenty of time to get one more race, and we're going to pick one race. We can't run in all of them, so we're going to pick the one we feel best about, and right now the Spinster is the one I feel best about.
Today, Phone Chatter makes the first start of her career ever outside the state of California. But Dave, she got a break. It feels like a California afternoon here. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s here in Lexington, Kentucky.
And here we are with the guy who beat Phone Chatter last out, Alex Hassinger, who trains Miss Dominique. That must have been a nice feeling.
It was. You know, this is the kind of filly that seems to be getting better with age, and coming to Kentucky, she's kind of picked her head up a little bit. So,
well, as we're going to watch a little bit of the race from Del Mar, and what did you think going into that one? Did you think you had that kind of a chance?
Yeah, I thought we had a good chance. It's, you know, the filly that she's very tough, she's very game. She's been first or second 13 times out of 16 starts. So.
You're between horses, phone chatter on the outside.
Yeah, Miss Dominique is very game. She tries every time you run her, and you know, we're here today with a good chance, I think.
And what kind of instructions will you give your jockey, Chris Antley?
Well, I think just, you know, she can sit right off the pace 3 or 4 lengths, and she makes a good 3/8 of a mile run.
Okay, Alex Hassinger, thanks very much. I know they need you over there to saddle the horse. Now, have you ever noticed how many times a jockey goes out of town, wins a big race, and then comes back to his home track and wins the big race? Well, Pat Day is aboard Dispute here at Keeneland this afternoon. Yesterday, he ventured to Laurel for the Washington, D.C. International, and he had that very easy trip with Paradise Creek. And earlier, I caught up with him, and I asked him about the trip. Nice trip yesterday.
Yes, sir, it was. Paradise Creek just ran a marvelous race, one that we've kind of grown to expect from him. He's really matured and come to hand for Billy this year, and with maturity and mellowing out, he's learned to relax in the body of the races and is able to finish up like a racehorse and just makes light of his work.
He's going to be tough in the Breeders' Cup turf.
Well, it'll be his first try at 1.5 miles, but the way he's relaxing in the body of the races, as I said, I don't think that it'll be any problem. I think I'll be able to ride him the same way that I have been 1.25 miles, get him out of, away from the gate, get him into the race, settle him in a good position, and then wait to the last 1/4 mile and make a run with him. And I think he'll be very tough that way.
Switching gears to today, what did you learn about Dispute when you rode her in the Ruffian?
Well, she's a little bit headstrong, Dave. I had to take a little hold of her leaving there. We got jammed up just a touch, and when I did, well, she took a hold of me, got a little bit anxious in the body of the race. She finally settled after we got down into the turn and dropped back a little bit, and then came on good with the finish. As a matter of fact, I thought I was going to catch Sky Beauty there for just a little bit. But I think she just likes you to get along with her. Don't try to get heavy-handed with her, so I hopefully will be able to do that this afternoon. There's some speed in the race. It should set up well for her.
Pat Day, one of the canniest riders in the business, and yes, he certainly does get along with horses. There is Dispute in the beautiful saddling paddock here at Keeneland, getting ready to get the saddle thrown on, and then Pat Day aboard with 123 pounds, one of the favorites in the Spinster. Chris?
Fillies and mares in the paddock. We're getting close to calling them out to the racetrack for the post parade. But before that, just for a moment, all of us in and out of racing lost a great friend this past Thursday morning as Chick Lang Jr. succumbed to melanoma cancer, dying at his parents' home in Maryland. Chick was part of the 5th generation of the Lang family involved in this thoroughbred racing industry. We knew him as the administrative director at Oaklawn. He'd just taken a job as general manager at the new Retama Park in San Antonio. Chick just turned 47 years old this past Monday. All of us will miss him, especially his immediate family and those of us that were privileged enough to feel part of that family. Looking back off the clubhouse turn back at the grandstand of historic Keeneland Race Course. It's 1.1 miles today for the Spinster Stakes, and let's see how the really cagey handicappers here are looking at this race. It's our odds update presented by Auto Tote. Miss Dominique at 10. Dispute is at even money right now. Penny Hill Park at 10. Passing Vice at 40. Let's Be Alert at big price. Phone Chatter, the shipment from California at 2. Joyous Melody at 30. Twice the Vice at 8. But Dispute right now, without dispute, is the favorite for this race. Well, the Breeders' Cup Series started in 1984. No race has had more impact on the Breeders' Cup distaff than has the Spinster. Tom Durkin takes a closer look for us. Tom?
Unquestionably, no race of any prep race, for that matter, to any Breeders' Cup race has a better record than the Spinster has prepping for the distaff. Take a look at this gaudy record. 6 of the 10 Breeders' Cup distaff winners have prepped in the Spinster. Princess Rooney, the first distaff winner. Life's Magic, you might recall the horse that finished second that day, who was coupled with Life's Magic. Her name was Lady's Secret. Sakawista then at Hollywood Park in 87. Bayakoa, back-to-back winners in 89 and 90. Passiano won it in 92. 6 of 10, pretty good, but inches away from that record being 8 of 10. Winning Colors just nosed out in that memorable duel at Churchill Downs with Personal Ensign in 1988, and in 1993, Passiano was edged out by Hollywood Wildcat. This classic race here in Kentucky in recent years has become the personal property of a California horseman. Since 1989, no owner, trainer, or jockey has had more of an impact on the Spinster than Hall of Fame trainer Ron McAnally. He settled the race favorite in each of the past 5 Spinsters, including back-to-back victories by the brilliant Argentine champion Bayacoa, who went on to capture the Breeders' Cup Distaff in both 1989 and 1990. In 91 and 92, his favorites were both beaten, although Paciana rebounded with a brilliant victory in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. And last year, McAnally and his champion mare rediscovered the winner's circle here at Keeneland.
And down the stretch they come. Great Cashmere trying to take it wire to wire. Paciana on the outside. And it's Paciana with a burst of speed on the outside. But Great Cashmere right there on the inside. Paciana with a short lead. Here's the finish. Paciana takes the Spinster by 3 parts of a length.
The McAnally tally: 5 starters, 3 wins, and a second in Kentucky's most important filly and mare race.
Well, Paciana, the 7-year-old mare who has banked $2.8 million in her career, and she's been the champion older female these last 2 years, was pointed to the Spinster, but the bad news is that she had trouble. She had a trapped epiglottis. The good news is that she had surgery 3 days ago. It's an operation that takes about 5 minutes. She is fine, and even more better news is that trainer Ron McAnally says that the plan is to bring Paciana back to the races in 1995, and that really would be great to see Paciana back here at Keeneland. Chris?
Well, Dave, as we're winding down towards the Breeders' Cup, that means that time's running out to play the Breeders' Cup Future Book at Caesars Palace, a race and sports book in Las Vegas. John Vidmar, the man out there, had a chance to visit with us recently about a past Breeders' Cup champion that didn't get a lot of respect in the Future Book a few years back.
Arazi opened up at 20-1 in the Breeders' Cup Future Book, and that was certainly a generous price for that particular horse. He eventually closed at 2-1 as money steadily came in on that particular horse as information became more readily available on his stellar performances in Europe. But a horse, a 2-year-old juvenile colt, had not traveled across the Atlantic, run in the Breeders' Cup, run on dirt for the first time, and we never expected him to make such an electrifying move around that second term to put a stamp on what a true champion he is.
Oh, wouldn't you have liked to have had a Future Book price like that on Arazi? Let's take a look now at Breeders' Cup Distaff right now before the race. Phone chatter is 6-1 on the Future Book. Then you see double figures on Miss Dominique disputed 18-1. How about that? Penny Park and Twice the Vice. We'll fill in some of the post-race odds hopefully for you later from Caesars. Well, this is a 1/16 racetrack, and the starting gate, in fact, is just right next to us here at our position, right near the 8th pole here at Keeneland Racecourse. And we'll be getting set for the running of the 39th Spinster Stakes as they call the horses from the paddock now out to the racetrack. And you see there, this Dominique getting ready to head out to the racetrack in the famous Alan Paulson Silks. And Miss Dominique will be leading our parade of 8 here. And again, check of more than $204,000 waiting for the winner. Let's get us started then with Miss Dominique, a $125,000 Keeneland sale purchase. Named for owner Alan and Madeline Paulson's daughter, Dominique. The 5-year-old mare has been first or second in 13 of 16 career starts. The rider, Chris Hanley, a leading East Coast rider, has had success now in California. The 2-horse, and right now the odds-on favorite here at Keeneland. This is Dispute, consistent 4-year-old daughter of Danzig. 16 on the board finishes in 18 races. A win today would make her a millionaire. The jockey, Hall of Famer Pat Day, 4-time Eclipse Award winner. He's won more stakes at Keeneland than any rider in history, and a 2-time winner of the Spinster. The 3, a $40,000 Keeneland sale bargain. This is Penny Hill Park. Canadian Invader coming in off a victory in Northern Kentucky in the Turfway Park Budweiser Breeders' Cup. Should be on the pace in this one. Shane Sellers won the Keeneland Spring title and is in the lead right now for the Fall title. The 4 horses, Passing Vice, another Keeneland sale purchase, starting her career right here at the Keeneland sale ring for $32,000. She's the veteran of this field. 4-year-old by Vice Regent makes her 35th trip to the post, an allowance winner, and stakes placed at Delaware and Arlington, but taking a big step up in class. Garrett Gomez is the rider. The 5 is Let's Be Alert, coming here from Florida off 2 straight wire-to-wire victories at Calder by a combined 10+ lengths. Should be the pace setter for this field, but she's not faced this class before. Woody Martinez, a late substitute for Joe Bravo, has the mount today. The 6, here's the California Invader, Phone Chatter. Look at the size of that filly. Last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile filly winner and the divisional champion. 2 for 2 in Grade 1 races. Curry Nakatani, red-hot California rider, current leader at the Oak Tree meeting at Santa Anita. The 7 is Joyous Melody, another Keeneland sale purchase, $34,000 the price for this filly. This an ambitious Grade 1 debut here after running 7th, beaten 9 lengths in the recent Turfway Budweiser Breeders' Cup. The jockey, Euclid Vergara. He is the leading rider right now at Detroit Racecourse and down for a big Grade 1 today. The 8 horse is Twice the Vice, also a Keeneland purchase, $34,000. Grade 1 winner on the turf, who returns to the main track for the first time since early July. Has won, though, on the dirt before, but not against this class. The rider, Aaron Grider, currently 3rd in the Keeneland standings. There is the field for the 1994 running of the Spinster Stakes. It's a mile and a 16th, $300,000 at it. We'll be ready to race when we come back to Keeneland. Today's Spinster Stakes is being presented by Hollywood Park, where great times are a sure bet. The surest bet on the board right now is Dispute at odds on. Then it's Phone Chatter at 2 to 1. But of course, as always, we're looking for some value for you. Here's the Budweiser long shot for today's Spinster Stakes.
Today's Budweiser long shot, number 4, Passing Vice, is a lot better than her recent form suggests. In June and July, she put together a pair of races, a win at Arlington International, and a second in the prestigious Delaware Handicap that would smother this field. Since then, her trainer Harvey Vanier has kept her in graded stakes at 3 different Midwest tracks. And Passing Vice has a new rider today, Garrett Gomez, who really fits her come-from-behind style. Watch this gutsy late effort in the Arlington Matron to finish 2nd. Now, with this kind of kick and a little racing luck, they'll be passing the money to us at the cashier windows. And we'll be passing the Budweiser to toast Passing Vice, today's Budweiser long shot.
Well, Passing Vice, the 4 comes in. We'll be rushing to the window. Right now, she's the 2nd longest price on the board. Passing Vice at 35 to 1. Let's now take a look at the entire field with the odds presented by Auto Tilt. Miss Dominique at 8. Dispute now 7 to 5. Pony Hill Park at 9. Passing Vice, you see 35. Let's Be Alert at 11. Phone Chatter 9 to 5 now. Joyous Melody 35. And Twice the Vice at 8. And speaking of Twice the Vice, Ray Bell, her young trainer. We talked with him earlier. This is a filly that won a Grade 1 race at Del Mar on the turf. Now comes back to the main track. We asked Ray about bringing her back to the dirt.
Well, you know, some people question me when I put her on the turf, saying that, you know, this is a great dirt filly. Why are you making the transition? I said, well, these races leading up to the Del Mar Oaks are on the turf, and of course the race itself is on the turf. So we're right here now. We're going to try her on the turf, and I was confident that she would handle the surface. And of course, being by Vice Regent, she's got the pedigree to run on it as well. But I think, well, I'm speculating at this stage that she may indeed be a better filly on the dirt.
Well, Dave Johnson followed the fillies through the tunnels, joined us up here now. And Dave, your comments on how the field looked as they came to the track?
Well, we were saddling. They were saddling right next to us in the paddock, and Penny Hill Park was certainly the most fractious of all the fillies in there. And Passing Vice, who was right next to that one, was the most calm. She's the one wearing the front bandages. So I would say Penny Hill Park has a good shot this afternoon. And also Shane Sellers has 2 victories to his credit on the card.
Dave, is it unusual, a field of 8, and I guess only 2 have even been on their mounts before this race?
Yeah, there are a lot of musical saddles going on, but when you get this class of filly and this class of rider, they match.
There's the track record, 146-2 by Good Command and Grand Joe. You saw earlier the stakes record by the great Bayako of 147 flat. That was during her 2nd Spinster victory in 1990. Dave, the strategy of this race with 8 in.
Well, first of all, it's interesting. I think they've got the wrong favorite. Dispute is 6 to 5, and Phone Chatter is 2 to 1. Phone Chatter is the horse to beat. If I were riding a race, that's who I'd be watching.
Let's go to Tom Durkin now to call the Spinster for us.
Don't know exactly who's going to be first when they pass the finish line, but the first time under the finish line, it's going to be Let's Be Alert. a stone-cold front runner. And Penny Hill Park also has some good tactical speed. She might be up close early. And look for Dispute to get just in behind the lead. She's a spirited filly and does her best running just in behind a fast pace. Twice the Vice, whose best running seems to come in the last furlong, is being moved into the outside post position here. We are ready for a start of the Spinster Stakes. And they're off. Penny Hill Park bobbled, leaving the gate. Miss Dominique swerved out just ahead of Dispute, who's going to be caught behind in the early going. Right to the lead goes Let's Be Alert. Let's Be Alert. Willie Martinez now settles her on to establish the lead. Miss Dominique is second, and Phone Chatter is showing speed today. She's right up there, running in third position. Toward the inside, there goes Penny Hill Park now, guided toward the inside, and Dispute's been in traffic in the early going. Twice the Vice is ranging up 3 wide, and she's moving aggressively now as they make their way toward the backstretch. Then it's passing by second to last, and Long Shot Joyous Melody is the trailer. The pace is pretty easy, 24 1/5 seconds, as Willie Martinez tries to nurse the speed of Let's Be Alert, who's clear on the lead now by 1.5 lengths. On the outside, Miss Dominique is right there, and Dispute now has made her way up in the pack. Now running just in behind the lead, running in third position. Penny Hill Park is now running in fourth. Then it's Twice the Vice, who's drawn within 5 lengths of front-running Let's Be Alert. And then she's followed by Phone Chatter, who's lost some ground. The big filly now has dropped back to 6th, about 7 lengths from the lead. They're a half mile out. The tempo's quickened to the half in 47 3/5 seconds. 3 furlongs from the line. Let's Be Alert is trying to go the distance here, and she's still out there and still going strong, leading by 3.5 lengths as they move midway around the far turn. She's now in front by 4. Miss Dominique is running second. Dispute third toward the inside. Phone Chatter's not going to get it done. She has plummeted to the back of the pack as the field now turns for home. Let's Be Alert trying to pull off the upset, and now Pat Day goes to work on Dispute, and she's trying to come through an opening toward the inside. As they hit the 8th pole, it is Dispute who takes the lead and pulls away under a hand ride here by Day, leaving Let's Be Alert and the others far behind, and it's going to be Dispute here who coasts home by 1 3/4 lengths. Let's Be Alert finishing second was a big break back to Miss Dominique, who was a well-beaten third, and Phone Chatter clunks in last. She was beaten almost 25 lengths this afternoon to Dispute.
We'll pick up some of our Breeders' Cup stories. I guess, as Tom Durkin told you earlier, that would have to move up Sky Beauty. And Dave, as you touched on, how many times have you seen a rider come out of a big race, fly back to his home track, and score in another?
Exactly. Might point out that this horse is 6-5, not 4-5. But Pat Day certainly, he gets his third winner in the Spinster. Shug McGay, he had this filly just razor sharp. Daughter of Danzig, found room on the inside rail, and let's watch the stretch drive again. You know, Pat Day always seems to pick up the pieces. The number 5 horse, Let's Be Alert, had set those fractions up front, which were soft. Maybe thought that he was going to get it wire to wire. Willie Martinez in the irons. And here comes Pat Day taking the inside route, the closest and shortest way to the finish line. Miss Dominique, trained by Alex Hassinger, ridden by Chris Antley. We met earlier. Here is Dispute, the favorite, coming home to take it by 2. And the long shot Let's Be Alert finishes second with Miss Dominique third.
Last year, Dispute was 4th in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. This Grade 1 victory, her first stakes win since 1 year ago exactly today, when she won the Beldame. Today's 39th running of the Spinster Stakes is being presented by Hollywood Park, where great times are a sure bet. And the sure bet came in this afternoon at the Spinster. Unofficially, it was the favorite Dispute, Let's Be Alert, who set the early fractions, holding on for second. And then Miss Dominique from Alan Paulson stable running third, 1:48 4. The time for the 1.8 miles. Well, we yelled at Dick Mandela as he was leaving. He took a real hard look at Phone Chatter, the big filly, especially from the back, as you're looking at the winner Dispute with Pat Day up. We asked Dick, and Dick said that she ran down badly in the back, and she will not go on to the Breeders' Cup. That from trainer Dick Mandela. Let's go upstairs now to Tom Durkin for another look at the Spinster.
Well, Pat Day didn't get rattled early. Breaking from post position number 2 here is Dispute. You'll watch number 1, Miss Dominique, veer out right in front of her, right at the starting gate, as they spring the latch here at Keeneland. Watch number 1, Miss Dominique, come right out at the start. And also coming over a bit was Penny Hill Park. Little squeeze play there on Dispute. But Pat Day, you know, really never got too anxious about it. He just let that filly settle in. And even on the turn, I thought that Let's Be Alert, there was really a need to have concern about there. No one had run after her, but Pat Day still riding her, still coasting along with Dispute. He apparently realizes he has quite a filly underneath him as they make the turn into the stretch. There's 3/16 from the line there, and Willie Martinez all over Let's Be Alert, and Pat Day hand-riding Dispute. Look how the field is spread-eagled out in behind Dispute here. By the way, this is the second stringer for the Phipps stable. They have a 3-year-old filly by the name of Heavenly Prize, and they have other fillies as well. Inside information, an educated risk, but there was the winner today in the black and cherry red, Dispute. Let's go to Dave.
I'm with Corey Nakatani, who rode Phone Chatter. Now, that was the first time you'd ridden her. What happened in the race? Big disappointment.
Yeah, it was. She pretty much, she broke real well, and she was in the race. Halfway around the turn, she just wasn't comfortable at all, and she didn't run at all.
And you said she ran down her bandages.
Yeah, when I got back, she you can see that she ran down to her bandages, and maybe just the track was a little too sandy for her, and that's why she ran.
Just one of those things with these fillies?
I think so. She's a great mare, and it's just one of those things where she didn't have her day, and I'm sure she'll be there another day.
Wouldn't disqualify her or keep her away from the Breeders' Cup?
I wouldn't, considering what happened in the race. So she ran down, and she'll be better.
Okay, thanks very much, Corey Nakatani. Chris?
Well, the ones that ran 1-2 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies last year will not be going on to the distaff this year. Phone Chatter, no, and Sardula came up with an injury while training towards the Breeders' Cup. She is also out until next year. Racing to the Breeders' Cup, presented by Thrifty Car Rental. Our coverage today of the Spinster Stakes, and we now have it official here. And it was Dispute winning her first stakes race in exactly 1 year. Dispute, 440, 360, and 260. Then Let's Be Alert, the pace setter, second, and Miss Dominique gets up for third. The Exacta returns 38.20. There's the running time of 1:48 and 4. We mentioned Phone Chatter running down badly behind. Probably the best explanation is be much like, well, say if you got a blister on your heel. You know that's not real dangerous, but it certainly is painful, and Dick Mandela very quickly said that he would not be going on to the Breeders' Cup. Dave, let's hear now from the winners, the connections of Dispute.
I'm with the trainer and the jockey of the winning filly, Dispute. Shug, congratulations. Boy, she is good.
Thank you, Dave. She is a good filly. We had a little bit of a rocky start with her this year, but she's where I want her now, so hopefully down the road we'll have a little more luck with her.
You've got a few in the barn for the Breeders' Cup.
Well, I hope so. You know, I hope she'll make 3 with Heavenly Prize and Lure to go along with her. So, you know, we're looking forward to the Breeders' Cup.
And this gentleman here has a few decisions to make then. Pat, good ride. You must be thinking forward, though.
Well, I certainly am. You know, it's going to be a tough choice. 2 real nice fillies. You know, I'm going to have to talk at length with Shug and connections, you know, Mr. Phipps and my agent, and we'll make a decision. But either one of them is not a bad place to be. I'll tell you that. They're both training very well. Shug's doing a great job with them, and they'll have some say in the outcome of the Breeders' Cup distaff.
Speaking of a place to be, let's talk about you finding a little room down there on the rail, a quarter of a mile from the finish line.
Well, you know, as we was coming off the turn, the horse on the lead had spread the turn significantly. It was probably 5 or 6 wide, as you can see right here. I just went ahead and headed up the fence. My mare was running. He slowly started drifting over, and I was just hopeful that she wouldn't check herself, you know, wouldn't become intimidated, and she didn't. She just showed a lot of courage right there, come on through the hole, and then went on about her business. I was telling Shug and Denny, I was right here. I turned my stick up and hit her a couple of times, and it was really not necessary. I have to go back to the barn and apologize to Dispute for doing that to her. But she ran a marvelous race. I'm real pleased with her effort.
Well, Shug won it 11 years ago, and this is the 3rd victory in the Spinster for Pat Day. Congratulations to you both. Chris?
Well, joining me now is the owner of Dispute, Ogden Mills, Denny Phipps. Denny, congratulations. We said, can you believe it's been a year since she's been in the winner's circle in a stakes race?
It has, but she ran a great race a year ago, and she got sick this spring, and Shug just did a wonderful job bringing her back.
Father, son, once again, it looks like in the Breeders' Cup. Your father, of course, Ogden Phipps, with the great Heavenly Prize.
That's right, and, you know, with Dispute and Heavenly Prize and Sky Beauty, that might be the best race of the day at the Breeders' Cup.
A lot has been said about that already, Denny. That does seem in the Breeders' Cup to really stand out. What a great collection of fillies and mares this year.
It is, and it's going to be great fun to see that day.
I know from your family, one of the great racing families, that you take great pride in the mares.
Oh, we love our fillies, and our fillies have taken good care of us over the years, and we love to see them run, and we love to see them produce. This filly, this mare that ran today will be back here in Kentucky and be retired in another 3 weeks.
Ogden Mills Denny Phipps, also the head of the Jockey Club and the owner of the winner of the Spinster this year. That is Dispute, and there's no dispute about that. She's on to the Breeders' Cup Distaff with her stablemate Heavenly Prize. What a 1-2 punch for the Phipps family. Oh, is that a wonderful scene? There you see horses in the fields out here not far from Keeneland Racetrack, and we want to update you right now. This is how they look at the Caesars Future Book odds for the Breeders' Cup. Take a look at the differences. Phone Chatter now out after this race, as declared by her trainer Dick Mandela. Dispute was 18-1. I wish we'd had our bet then. Now 9-1. Let's get some final thoughts. We'll start first with the man who called the race for us and the voice of the Breeders' Cup, Tom Durkin.
Well, Shug McGahee's going to have a pretty good chance on Breeders' Cup Day. So will jockey Pat Day. Big chances in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the Distaff, and, of course, a big shot in the Breeders' Cup Turf. Let's go to Dave.
Don't lose sight of the real good effort of Let's Be Alert, the horse who had set the early fractions, and an excellent ride by Willie Martinez, who was substituting for Joe Bravo. Don't forget, this horse did get beat, but she also beat some very nice fillies to the wire. On the front end, sometimes that's the place to be. It wasn't for the win spot today, but Let's Be Alert certainly did a big job racing those early fractions and finishing second and holding off the late charge of Miss Dominique. Chris?
And we'd like to welcome to Racing's Club the newest millionaire, or millionaires, if you will, as Dispute goes over the $1 million mark in earnings with the victory in the Spinster. It is Dispute, Let's Be Alert, Miss Dominique, then the rest of the field now. Penny Hill Park, Twice the Vice, Joyous Melody, Passing Vice. The Bud Longshot didn't do it for us. And Phone Chatter, real disappointed from California. Again, the story on her running down, and she will not go on to the Breeders' Cup. We'll be continuing, though, as we'll move on to Oklahoma City 1 week from today, live for the richest 2-year-old thoroughbred race of the fall, the Mathis Brothers Remington Futurity. Join us next Sunday, 3:30 to 4:30 Eastern, here on ESPN. And coming up, action coming up on the Nike Tour Championship. That's next live on ESPN. Racing to the Breeders' Cup, presented by Thrifty Car Rental. The Spinster Stakes from Keeneland has been brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. By Keeneland, source of the classic horse. Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. And by the Thoroughbred Racing Associations, assuring the highest racing standards. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 850 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. This has been an ESPN Sports presentation in association with Winter Communications. At the 1994 Spinster, there was no dispute. It was Dispute, the winner of this Grade 1 test for fillies and mares. She's on to the Breeders' Cup Distaff now.